What's going on, everyone? Gilman back with another video. Live well, live wealthy. Today we're doing it on the wealth side of things, and specifically we're going to be talking about a stock that a lot of people know of and trade and keep in their portfolio, and that's Apple. So as we know, I have the 5-day chart pulled up over here, and today's video is going to be me kind of walking you through a little bit of the Apple chart itself. So rather than me talking the whole time, I'll just be in a corner and we're going to be looking at the actual chart and kind of discussing some key things to see whether or not Apple's a good buy right now, given its current price and kind of future outlook, or whether it's a pass. So before we start, just know that this is something that I'm doing. I'm not a financial advisor, so you got to do what suits you, but I'm just going to show you kind of what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing, and what I'm basing my decision off of. So let's get right into it. So as you guys know, stocks were rallying through the month of August, right? NASDAQ was hitting highs every day. Stocks like Apple, Tesla, Amazon were reaching higher highs every day, which was really weird because a lot of times that rallying wasn't really news-based. It was just based on well, for the most part for Apple and Tesla, it had to do a lot with their stock split announcement. So we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But here what I have pulled up is the 5-day chart for Apple. Now Monday was a Labor Day last week, so this includes September 4th, which is the Friday before, and then the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, 11 being just this past Friday. So what we see here generally is a downtrend, right? So the Friday before Labor Day, we saw a huge drop from Apple, levels of 123 all the way down to, I think it hit like 110 or 111, and then we saw it rally back up. So that was kind of weird. It dropped $10, which for Apple now post-split is still a huge amount, but pre-split that would have been equivalent to $40, right, because of the 4-to-1 split that it just did. And we kind of ended the day somewhat even, down a little bit. But since then we've lost, day over day. I think Wednesday was the only day where it kind of made either slightly highs, but not, nothing compared to the drops it had. And then the past 2 days, Thursday and Friday, we saw it dropping again. So what exactly is going on? So Apple has not really said anything other than the stock split, which caused it to A, rise in August, right, and B, drop in September. So the next thing that I want to show you is the year-to-date chart, right? And this is great because it lets you see where Apple has been for 2020 alone. Now, all of these prices are post-split prices, but just to show you, around kind of this COVID crash time, Apple hit a low of $53, which pre-split was about 200 and some change, right? So low 200s was what Apple hit, and then it rallied back. Apple being a strong company, people were willing to put money into it, and it was gradually rising, and as you could see, come like August, now we hit the 400 mark in Apple, but it wasn't very long after that we hit the $500 mark. And I'm saying 500 because, again, the 125 mark would have been 500 pre-split. So this whole rally that I'm highlighting kind of on my graph here, and by the way, I'm using Webull for charting. You could use Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, whatever it is that you prefer. I just really like the layout of Webull, so I go with it. But you can see here, this is July 31st. The overall price was around 102. We see this gap up, moving up, all the way, hit 137, which again, if you do that times 4, right, I think we hit maybe 5, I want to say, let's see, like we crossed 500, right? And now, as you can see, Apple is trading at 112, which pre-split would have been $448, right? So it's been a decent drop. But what I want to show you is, we had a huge drop this past week where a lot of, Apple and Tesla and all these tech companies that had a huge rally lost a lot of money. But even after losing that much money, what you have to understand is, we lost basically the month of August. Like, we lost whatever gains were made in August. If you're holding on to the stock through August and now in September, you lost all that. So yes, although the losses were great in terms of percentages, like 18%, 25% for some of the tech stocks, what you have to understand is you're only erasing the month of August, right? So this price here that we closed at, we hit, I think, like 110 or 111 on Friday. If we trace it back here, looking at the bottom right here, August 3rd, we were at 108, right? The overall price. So that just goes to show you that, like, yeah, the drop has been huge, but instead of the market crashing, it could just be the market correcting itself, right? So Apple, as you could see, what the lines that you see here are the 8 EMA, 21 EMA, 34 EMA, 55 EMA, and 89 EMA. And Apple is a stock that typically, as you see over the trend, has been riding the top EMA line. It hasn't really dipped down too often to the 21 EMA or the 34 EMA. Right now it's almost at the 55 EMA. So the 34 EMA is at 114, the 55 EMA is at 108. It's between the 34 and the 55 EMA, but generally, as you could see, you know, even before that, Apple hasn't really dipped down to the lower EMAs for a really long time. So what does that mean, right? Does that mean Apple is a sell now, buy because it's about to drop more, or is Apple a good buy right now? Well, if you're someone who's holding Apple long term, Apple is a company that, you know, historically has had great returns, has paid out dividends, very profitable, has a lot of cash. If you are looking, you know, 5, 7, 10 years from now, right, in your long-term portfolio, I think Apple is still going to go up, right? Even when pandemic ends and we're going to go back to school, or kids are going to go back to school and people are going to go back to work, hopefully, and our dependence on technology will lessen a bit because we'll be kind of doing the things we were doing before pandemic. Apple is a company, right, that is going to continue to hopefully innovate and make new products, and people are going to continue buying it, and their ecosystem is only going to get larger and larger as they sort of integrate everything and can continue that vertical integration that they have. Now, for short-term investors, right, is this a dip buy opportunity? Meaning, is this a good time and a good pullback for you to get the stock at a cheaper rate and it's going to, before it starts rallying back up? I personally do not know the answer to that, but this week on Tuesday, they do have a time flies event. So, looking at this right here, they are not going to actually, typically in September, they introduce their iPhone, the next generation of iPhone. This time they won't be doing the iPhone. They've announced they're experiencing some delays with that, but it's dubbed the Time Flies event, and they're probably going to do some updates to the Apple Watch and some updates to the iPad Air is what's rumored, and some more updates. Now, I believe that this will personally drive some level of excitement, and people are going to start talking about Apple, which could push the stock price up. The other hand of that, though, is if this event ends up being something that people are, after the fact, not very excited about, that could potentially mean a little bit more of a sell-off. Now, is the sell-off over? Are we going to rally again? I don't know, right? No one knows that. If someone tells you that they know the answer to that, they're lying. Like, there's no way to really be able to fully, with 100% confidence, say that. Excuse me. But what I can say is, from a low of 53, Apple has doubled in price just this year alone, which is crazy to think of, a company like the size of Apple doubling in its stock price. The other thing is, the next iPhone that they're planning on releasing, the iPhone 12, is expected to be a 5G phone, which for the first time could be an event where more people are going to want to upgrade their phone because it's something truly new, right? Typically, Apple will update their phones. Maybe they'll look slightly nicer, maybe they'll have a bigger screen, but fundamentally, right, if you just do a software update on your new phone, if you do a software update on your old phone, you can have a lot of the same functionality, unless you care about some of the new things like better cameras, AR on the new phone, stuff like that. But if they're putting 5G into the phone, it could potentially cause a lot of people to, run back and get that new phone. which again is a positive catalyst for the company. So between the positive catalyst of the Time Flies event that I highlighted and this upcoming potential event where a lot of people are going to buy phones, if they do have the 5G capability that a lot of people are expecting it to have, that's really positive news for the company. Now, the other thing I want to kind of talk about besides the EMAs is the moving average line. And if you don't care about the technical stuff, totally cool. I still want to share because that's kind of what I base my decisions off of. So as you can see, the moving averages I have on the screen are 20, 50, and 200, which are typically the ones used by a lot of people in the industry. Now you could see that Apple typically had been above its 20-day moving average, like for all of since COVID basically began. Now, it just on September 2nd kind of broke below that, and it's now approaching the 50-day moving average line. That could be a test, right? Is it going to hit the 50-day moving average and move right back up, or is it going to break through the 50-day moving average? The first one shows a relative sign of strength, right? It's kind of respecting that line, and people are willing to buy it, so it moves back up, or we're going to break through that. And now if we break through that, how low is it going to go? Is it going to go all the way back to the 200-day moving average? Probably not, but that shows a relative sign of weakness. So it would be a good idea to kind of see how tomorrow plays out, or even Tuesday, because that's when the event is, and see, is Apple relatively strong? If the market's dropping, is Apple going up? If the market's dropping, is Apple dropping less? If the market's going up, is Apple going up more, right? Those are all signs you could look at to see relative strength or relative weakness. And it's always good to be relatively strong compared to the market, or stronger than the market if the market is strong. So, with all that being said, hope you found some of this analysis helpful. If some of it was too kind of complex with you with the EMAs, and the EMAs are exponential moving averages, or the moving average lines, I'll make some videos in the future so we could kind of go over what those are in more detail. But hopefully you found a little bit about what's going on with Apple, whether or not it's a good buy right now, depending on whether you're a short-term or long-term investor, and your outlook on the stock. Again, do what you want to do what your research tells you to do. I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just sharing with you kind of what I'm seeing in the stock. So with that, that's all I had for you today. Hopefully you liked the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, share with your friends, and let's remember to be a bit better every single day. And until next time.